Hey everyone, welcome back to the Board Game Spotlight. Today we're going to look at Human Punishment 2.0, a social deduction game from Godot Games for 4 to 16 players. Plays in about 20 to 30 minutes, so let's take this to the table and I'm going to tell you about it. So today we've set up a game for 4 players and we're going to show you what a game of Human Punishment looks like. Now, this is currently live on Kickstarter with a new expansion, but we are going to talk about the base game for Human Punishment and what you can expect to see from that version of the game. Now, to start the game, the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to set up each of the players for their roles, their ID, their loyalty, and their starting programs. So you're going to look at the chart to determine the number of players. In the rulebook, it gives you a really nice diagram of exactly what you're going to play with, which of the weapons you're going to use, if you're going to use any of the extra material in the game based on player count, etc. So the first thing you're going to do is assign all of those cards. Now there are 5 different factions in the game. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic, futuristic, dystopian world where the human players, the humans, created a virus, and now the machines are using it to attempt to destroy humanity. So the human players are trying to destroy all of the outlaws, which this is an outlaw right here. They're also trying to destroy the machines. The machines are trying to destroy the humans. The outlaw players, they're trying to be the last player standing, so they really don't have any sort of affiliation to either side. They're kind of mercenaries. They're obviously just outlaws. They're in it for themselves. And then you have Fallen and Legion. So to determine what side of the game you're playing, you're going to look at your ID and your 2 loyalty cards. Now these cards are going to tell you which faction you're part of. Now, if you get an ID card that tells you you're always on a certain team, it does not matter what your loyalty cards say, you will always be on that team. But if you have cards like this collector is part of the Outlaws, but they don't say he's always part of Outlaws, but because they have 3 total outlaw symbols versus 1 human, they're going to be on the outlaw team. Over here, we have 1 machine to 3 human symbols, so this player is on the human team. And then for the machines, we have 3 total machine symbols versus 1 human. Now there are cards that can be used in the game that are going to put you on a specific team. So here's a virus that is always on the machines. We have the Mind Eater that always plays as the Legion. The Legion is part of a team that wants to win if all non-Legion players are eliminated. So throughout the game, players can actually become part of the Legion team, and that is a collective group that can win together. Additionally, there is another group like that called the Fallen. The Fallen works similarly to the Legion, and so all of those collective players can win together. And then you have always Outlaw, so this player is always going to be on the Outlaw, regardless of the ID cards they're given. So after you set up your teams and everybody has their IDs and loyalty cards, you're then ready to start the game. Now the game plays extremely quickly. It's very intuitive and very easy to follow. On your turn, there are 2 ways to be the active player. You can either be the active player, you have 3 actions to take, or you can be an armed active player. Now let's talk about being an active player first. If you're an active player, you can choose to investigate a player's loyalty card. Now these loyalty cards, all of these cards at the beginning of the game, are going to be face down. And this gives players the opportunity to investigate them to try to figure out what team they're part of. Now remember, because you have cards that put you on a certain team, you can't always rely on the information you get from these loyalty cards. But we could peek at this. Okay, we have humans. So now you can kind of start to see where this deduction comes into play. You can also equip a weapon. Now there are a number of different weapons in the game. There are 4, but these are the 2 starting weapons, and then throughout programs, which we'll talk about in a minute, or abilities, permanent abilities based on your characters, you could equip these rocket launcher or the laser. So either of these cards could be used through various effects later in the game, but to begin the game, you're only going to have the pistol and the rifle available to you. So you could equip this weapon, and then you're going to aim it at another player. So you would just put it in front of you, aiming it at another player. And so you're putting tension, you're putting pressure on that player to make choices, to maybe say whether they're on your team or to work with you, because you're aiming a weapon at them. Now they're put in this standoff situation and they have to deal with that. Additionally, you could draw a program. Now, drawing a program means that you have another program that you can potentially use. Programs have a variety of different uses on them. They're going to tell you exactly when you can play the card. You can either play a card on your turn, at any time, or as a permanent ability, and it's going to go down in front of you. You are limited to having 2 programs at a time. So let's say it gets back around to us, and we are now starting our turn as the active player, but now we are armed. So now we have 3 other actions that we can choose. We can choose to drop the weapon. So let's say they picked up a rifle and now they're aiming it at us, and we've got this standoff situation. We can choose to drop our weapon and say, all right, let's get some mutual agreement here. Or you could change the target. So let's say that you don't like not having the weapon and you want to just go ahead and choose a different target. So you could aim it at another player, changing your active target. Or you could simply resolve the effect of that weapon. We would force them to either take a damage or to reveal a loyalty card. Now they could reveal a loyalty card, or if they choose to take a damage, they would rotate their ID card like that. Each player has 2 health points. The rifle works in just about the same way, except they have to reveal their ID or take 2 damage, and 2 damage would eliminate that player from the game. So those are the different actions you have available to you on your turn, but let's talk about some of the more nuanced things that make Human Punishment a unique and fun game. You have these program cards. This deck of program cards is vital to the player interaction at the table. Not only do you have the investigation and the hidden deduction of lying about what team you're on and trying to figure out who's who, but you also have these programs that you can play. There are programs that can change your loyalty throughout the game. So this would actually give you a human loyalty. You have outlaw loyalty. There's loyalty to the machines. There are also programs that will allow you to equip the bigger weapons. Again, these weapons do a lot more damage. So this would allow you to equip one of those, and then you have permanents that give you an additional action. So if you had the laser as a permanent ability, you could choose to equip the laser weapon. And again, the laser is going to allow you to deal a lot more damage to a player. One of the other programs in the game that really sets this social deduction game apart is that you can become a boss. Now, the boss is going to allow you to do a lot of really fun and neat things. If you grab the Human Boss card, it's a program, you're actually going to take these 3 Human Boss cards, and you will have these, which essentially make it more difficult for the other players to win the game. So machines can't equip the rifle, humans cannot equip the companion, all outlaws cannot equip the pistol. So it allows the humans to kind of come back, because there are a lot of different factions trying to eliminate the humans. So getting the human boss is a lot of fun. Additionally, you have a machine boss as well. So if you use the machine boss program card, you'll get this boss, which is going to allow you to play the game a little differently as well, which makes it a little easier for the machines to win, because they can now equip the rocket launcher, or you can equip the laser. So this game has a ton of tension, a lot of back and forth, a lot of standoffs. It can get really intense very quickly. And again, the game plays really quickly. So if you're looking for a new social deduction game that really cranks up the social deduction genre to a new level, I would highly recommend looking into Human Punishment. I also want to note that the Kickstarter Black Box edition of this game comes with these really nice heavy cardboard tiles that can replace the cards in the game. And so you can use these instead of using the cards, and it just really makes things a little bit easier to read, and a really nice tactile feel to those as well. When you're playing with higher player counts, you can also use the companion, and you can play with more pistols and rifles, so it's going to allow you to have more replayability in the game. The companion is going to allow you to heal targets, so that when players are kind of, doing damage and trying to kill each other, you can choose to use the companion to try to keep teammates alive. If Human Punishment looks like a game for you, if you like what you see and you want to know more about the game and the new expansion, take a look at the description below for a link to their Kickstarter campaign. This has been Derek with the Board Game Spotlight, and this has been your preview of Human Punishment.